the epicenter of the COVID-19 crisis in the United States of America. I look forward to a day when I can tell you that's no longer true, but today that is true.
President Trump today to travel to Norfolk, Virginia to see off the Navy hospital ship Comfort before it heads to New York City to relieve the burden on hospitals overwhelmed with coronavirus patients. Its counterpart, the Navy ship Mercy, arrived in the port of Los Angeles Friday, not a moment too soon.
Can accommodate about 1,000 patients, and it looks like they will be needed. The mayor here warning that Los Angeles could look like New York does today in just 5 days.
ABC's Matt Gutman. The president acknowledging that his plan to reopen most of the country by Easter needs further evaluation.
President Trump admitting the coronavirus crisis could last a while.
I hope not. I hope it's going to be sooner. I hope it disappears faster than that.
Federal health advisors telling the president they'll have better information next Monday to help decide if any parts of the country could slowly reopen. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
And as we said, new numbers, 103,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in the U.S., 1,590 deaths. You're listening to ABC News.
We're going to get the state's new numbers later this afternoon, but as of Friday, there are more than 1,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Ohio, 1,137 to be exact. Around 275 of those patients are hospitalized. The coronavirus death toll in Ohio is now up to 19. Ohio National Guard members are being tasked with helping hospitals ramp up resources as the COVID-19 pandemic worsens. The governor says there's not a lot of time to prepare. Hospitals will begin being hit hard in about 2 weeks. Health officials say they need triple the number of hospital and ICU beds. Destination Cleveland, that city's tourism bureau, says 2 downtown hotels have temporarily closed because of the pandemic, and CEO David Gilbert of Destination Cleveland says this may be a nationwide trend.
The travel and tourism industry was hit first and hardest in this whole epidemic, and so, subsequently, people just absolutely are not traveling.
Gilbert believes the tourism industry will bounce back when the quarantine is over, and cuts could be coming to the city of Cincinnati.
Cincinnati City Manager Patrick Duhaney says in a message to the mayor and council that there will be a massive shortfall in the general fund for the rest of the year and fiscal 2021. He's estimating a deficit of up to $80 million in 2021. Duhaney says police, fire, and others are priorities in the short term, so one option he's looking at is temporary emergency leave for employees considered non-critical. Duhaney says he'll be working on a plan this weekend. This is Mayor John Cranley.
Whatever cuts and layoffs that we have to announce on Monday, that we intend for those to be temporary.
I'm Matt Reese.
For more on the coronavirus, go to the iHeartRadio app and tap the podcast tab. I'm Tom Moore.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news. At the top and bottom of the hour, Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTBN.
If you haven't quoted Allstate lately, it's the perfect time. Now Allstate has new lower auto rates. You can get the same high-quality coverage and hands-on expertise now at new lower rates. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote now.
I want to introduce you to the fourth generation of the Rutherford family, Joe Hayes, CEO and president of Rutherford Funeral Homes and Crematories. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Sean, and I am proud to continue the family tradition of making a difference for the families we serve in Central Ohio by being there to answer the tough questions and providing value alternative services as low as $19.95 and letting families decide.
Rutherford Funeral Homes and Crematories. There is a difference, and the difference is Rutherford.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Man, guys, I haven't seen a crowd like this here for a long time. Wow.
How much do we have to pay them to come in and watch us?
Quiet down.
The thing is, I mean, they're shoulder to shoulder for as far as I can see. Is that guy really body surfing?
All right. Okay, all right, everybody, settle down.
Good afternoon.
Good to see y'all.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 99 Bethel Road. All these people must have found that address, Ed.
They must have.
Yes. No, actually,
or they knew I was coming on.
That is actually, they probably knew one of our guests is coming on. You know, he has that following sometimes.
Yes, he does.
We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, and we are for the first time broadcasting to an empty store. My, oh my, what a week has done.
Didn't we just get done saying there was a big crowd here? Now you're saying
Well, we
it's
got to
empty?
make sure we're politically correct and we're keeping our distance.
All right.
It is. We've never had this you can scoot a little bit closer, Paul Boy. That's actually 6.5 feet.
Well, you know, I am the high risk. You know that.
You are the high risk.
I'm old.
That's right. And John is really taking this to heart. He's not even on the set.
He's in that state up
there
north.
you go.
Right, but
Isolated.
Yeah, you're right. But guys, what has a week of changes brought us? Last week, this place, we had a line out the door. We had actually 2 lines out the door, one wrapping to the front and one wrapping to the back. Of course, we were only letting a few people in at a time. And this week,
rules, 10.
Right, 10. Actually, it was a little bit less than that. This week, though, we're closed. We're not open at the moment, and taking a breather, giving our employees a breather, and actually getting a chance to get caught up on everything and clean everything. So we are broadcasting to an empty store, which is kind of odd, but we're still here.
It was kind of odd because I lost track of time, and I checked in with Emily late, and all the the prep.
Surprise.
Yeah, well,
guys, did you realize? Okay, December is one of our biggest times, one of our biggest months, and the last 10 days, ending last Saturday, we sold more guns in that 10-day period than all of December of 19. That's how crazy we saw it.
Thank you, news media, for hyping it up. Really.
It's true. But fortunately, though, we're considered an essential service, so we have the ability to be open in limited ways, and we're going to talk about that a little bit and what we're doing, and talk about what we can do collectively going forward to keep our distance, but yet have the ability to come buy ammo if you need it or whatever you need.
Have we got that drive-by set up yet?
Not yet. Drive-by is a tough word. You don't like to use that. Drive-by is probably not the thing to use in the whole gun
you're
thing.
Right,
so,
you're right.
Curbside. There you go. There you go. Well, we are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, but are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our listeners and our customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today on the show, actually, before we start, we have somebody who is off camera because of we're maintaining our social distancing, but he is on mic.
Yes,
we actually have the Attorney General, Dave Yost, right here. There he is. Now he's on camera.
Oh, man, he just knocked my chat and everything. Okay.
Yeah, there he is.
We're okay now.
Sir, it is so good to see you. It's so good. We've talked to you a couple times this week, and you're so positive and doing the right things and constantly in meeting. I mean, to take the time out to be here with us is just phenomenal, and it gives everyone the sense of security that we know that good people are in the right positions here to get us through this.
Happy Saturday, man.
Yep, happy Saturday. So
actually, the sun's shining, and I thought it was supposed to rain today. What's the weather there? Well, we'll get to that. Okay.
We will get to the weather.
Okay, all right.
Today on the show, we want to hear from you, as we did last week, what you're seeing out there, and are you one of the ones who are out there buying extra ammo firearms, and do you still feel it necessity as we go into this quarantine or stay at home from the governor this week? So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to try to instill a little normalcy to the show. At 12:35, we're going to welcome Nick Norton from Liberty Ammunition to the show. Now, we have been one not to promote what we often refer to as boutique ammunition. Our theory has always been to carry in your backup gun or your concealed carry firearm a defensive round that is similar to what local law enforcement carries. So then if you're ever in a scenario where you have to use that firearm in defense, you're not going to have to stand up there on the stand and defend why you're carrying a round that's called dead right there or RIP. So we have long since been a proponent of that, but there's a new manufacturer. It's not really that new, but they really have made a lot of splash lately, called Liberty Ammunition. And it's getting a lot of good press, and it's getting the attention of a lot of law enforcement agencies around the country. So we thought, you know what, we've carried them in the store a little bit. We're going to have them come on and talk a little bit about their product, how they got there. And it's really phenomenal. And JC, you can rattle some of this off. The uniqueness about this ammunition is the rounds are about half the normal grain weight, and they move.
Or less, but they and because of that, they really move. I mean, that 357 SIG goes out at like 2,300 feet per second out of a 4-inch barrel. That's just incredible. Amazing.
So that's going to be at 12:35, and you're not going to want to miss that. I have the gun of the week, and unfortunately it's something that's pretty much one of a kind because we put them together here in the store, and now it is no longer available. But it's something that I've been carrying with me the last couple of days. And actually, a good buddy of mine who is the only other person in the store today happened to buy one as well. So he's one of, I think, 10 of us now, mostly law enforcement guys who carry this. So we're going to talk about the gun of the week coming up here shortly. And let's see, before that, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Rampart Hosting, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, the Trigger Group, our good friends over at Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, Clean Water Systems, and LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. Joining me today in the LEPD studios, JC from the sales team. JC, have you seen any of the COVIDiots up your way?
They have. There's a lot of them everywhere. I mean, it's the United States, and it's pretty crazy. Although people are under the governor's order, staying at home for the most part. So, that's a good thing. You got to get this under control. So,
JC, I don't know if it's on our Facebook posting yet, but everyone's heard of the N95 face mask that everyone is going for. But I saw you posted a picture of the C95 face mask. I'm not familiar with that.
It's an earlier model. I couldn't find the N95s up here, so I've had to resort to an earlier model, the C95. Which stands for Cowboy 1895, and it happens to be a red bandana that when you put it on, it looks like you're robbing a stagecoach. But hey, that's what we have. So the C95, I've been having to put that into use.
Hey, JC, I could probably sell a few of those down here if you have a couple extra. So my father and co-owner sits to my left. This week, Papa, it really was reminiscent around here of our first days. I mean, the way that we're restocking, and there's some silver lining to it because we're taking the opportunity to inventory everything in the store and really become more efficient in how we run our business. So it's been a blessing in disguise. We've kept as many of our workers who want to continue to work, kept them busy, and we're hopefully going to open up to limited hours this week and be off and running again.
Well, the only difference between now and when we first opened is that we put in long hours. Now, you and Lori are probably still putting in long hours. I'm not. But I remember putting in 10, 11, 12-hour days and getting, the store stocked. And I remember looking in our gun case, our gun cabinet, or our display case, and didn't have a whole lot of guns in there. And we were worried about that.
Do you remember those nights that we were here all night long where Columbus on third shift would swing by and 3, 4 in the morning we'd have officers everywhere looking at some of that?
The good old days, yeah. But you know what? I've taken the opportunity to kind of, get some things done around the house too. And also kind of sleep in a little bit. Not having to come in there real early. But I'm getting some yard work done. And, so... now, let me tell you, though, I'm going to tell you this right now. I live in a neighborhood where most of my neighbors are in their 40s and 50s. So they're younger, obviously. We're the old people in the neighborhood. And it's bad enough that I feel old sometimes, and I know I look old, but it's really bad when they start checking on me. Come by and they check, oh, are you okay? Do you need groceries? And I said, it's bad enough that I look this way and I feel this way, but thanks for checking on me. I'm all right.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good to have good neighbors.
They are very good.
Big Ed sits to my right. Big Ed, you've been sequestered all week. We're just thrilled to get out of the house.
I was. My wife said you probably shouldn't be going out amongst all those crazy people.
While she opened the door for you, right?
She did. She had the truck warming up.
And as I mentioned at the top, we're so fortunate to have Attorney General Davis sitting here with us. Sir, I know you're not sleeping in these days. It has to have been it has to be crazy, unbelievable, all the things that are going on the back end that we don't see every day.
Yeah, one of the things that happened yesterday out of the blue, and really hadn't, so to speak, out of the blue,
I'm glad to see that you're practicing social distancing.
Maintain your social
Eric.
distance.
Follow the guidelines on social distancing.
Decrease your distance from the latest information.
Yeah, you completely cut off for a couple seconds. So I just
Columbus's
went to
News
break.
Radio will keep you
Okay,
connected.
how's it sound now?
You sound good now.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this computer completely unplugged. Every time I mess with that, it seems to be a correlation. So,
But be ready for
Download
weather.
the app or say,
all right, you tell me
Play
weather, and we'll come right back.
WTVN on
Okay.
iHeartRadio.
Fox presents iHeart's Living Room Concert for America. See once-in-a-lifetime performances by Alicia Keys, Backstreet Boys, Billie Eilish, Billie Joe Armstrong from Green Day, Camila Cabello, Dave Grohl, Her, Mariah Carey, Sam Smith, Tim McGraw, and more, performing from their living rooms into yours. Hosted by Elton John. And we'll salute organizations like Feeding America and First Responders Children's Foundation.
Tomorrow night at 9, listen to Hit Nation on iHeartRadio and watch on Fox 28.
Still here and everything else.
During this
There we go. Hey, Facebook fans, sorry about that. We got a little technical difficulty here. Some people checking in, saying hi to the fans, Phil and Eric and I, as well as the Attorney General. Some people checking in to say hi to him. Steve Michael, do you know him? Stephen Michael, yep. And Johnson Los. Paul, what do you mean traitor? You must be talking about the guy up north. Are we back on?
Hey, Em, what's temp?
72, and you have 40 seconds.
40 seconds, Ed.
40 seconds. That's too long for me to talk.
You have to reintroduce the
Yep.
Attorney General. Sorry.
We're
All right,
gonna
I
go
will.
back to him when we come back on. Vicky, hello. How are you doing today? Curbside ammo delivery. We're looking into that. Sam is watching. Of course, I think Sam's in the studio. He's just being very incognito. Actually, Mr. Yost walked up to the door. I didn't even recognize him because he's in street clothes. I wasn't going to let him in until
10 seconds.
Sam told me who it was.
Dormar, your pilot hero. Furnace broken? Dormar Heating and Cooling will fix it today, guaranteed.
Here at BC6, first warning weather for today. Scattered showers and thunderstorms dry for much of the afternoon. Very warm and humid, though, high of 74. Tonight, another round of showers and storms late overnight, low of 61. For Sunday, rain is ending early, then slowly clearing by the afternoon. Breezy, high of 65. It is currently a warm 72 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio 610, WTVN.
Your favorite song, isn't it?
You know what song that is, Ed?
My Sharona.
My Corona.
I thought it was My Corona. Has that been around for a while?
It could be My Corona. They just don't pronounce the C like.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's silent.
See, so that was Weird Al, wasn't it?
No, Weird Al made a remake of it. It was actually the Knicks or someone. I'd never heard of them, but
Okay, all right.
So before we went to break, and I know we went to break kind of abruptly there because we were experiencing a little technical difficulties. We were introducing our guest, Attorney General Dave Yost, here with us, and we were talking about your daily activities. Now it has to be crazy, has to be just nuts. And you started to mention yesterday.
Yeah, just something that folks might be kind of interested in. I said out of the blue as it was an unintentional pun, but one of the things that is a risk factor in all this COVID-19 stuff is our cops, the guys and gals in blue. They don't get to shelter at home. They're out on the street. They're dealing with every element in society and are probably being exposed, as careful as they are, to try to do things right. So as we're thinking about this slope that Dr. Amy Acton of the Health Department keeps talking about and how we're going to peak at 10,000 new cases a day at the end of April,
Kimber is a New York-based, and they are the latest one to have to close their doors, along with Yankee Hill Machine, which makes suppressors and a lot of other components. It's a Massachusetts company. So they all got shut down due to this, which is going to make supplies really, really tough. Anyway, that's happened. On the good news front, Idaho, in the midst of all this, Idaho signed a bill yesterday that makes Idaho a constitutional carry state for all American citizens. Before that, it applied to residents only, but they just signed a bill, and there are 16 constitutional carry states with only 2 of those have a limit, being that the residents, you have to be a resident of that state for constitutional carry. But the rest of these, and Idaho is now the newest member, any U.S. citizen can carry concealed without a permit in the great state of Idaho. So that just passed.
I can't believe, JC, that they got that in this time right now, that they're still able to do that.
Yeah, well, hats off to them.
Yep.
The National Shooting Sports Foundation released information that they gathered from the National Safety Council, which is a legitimate organization for the nation that releases injury facts. In the latest report, guess what, guys? Firearm-related fatalities, accident, unintentional firearms fatalities at the lowest level ever since they began recording them in 1903. Wow. So that just shows with millions, hundreds of millions of more guns out there, they actually have less shooting fatalities. And think about that. 1903, we have less fatalities than they did back then, and we have probably 300 million more guns out there now than they did back in that time frame. So the safety that we're talking about, more guns, and it's just getting safer all the time, which is what we applaud. So
wow, JC, did you see
So,
did you see the LA County Sheriff made an attempt to shut down some gun stores, and I think that got reversed. And then the New Jersey governor, who's never been a big friend of the Second Amendment, was caught. Did I say that politely?
That was really polite.
Polite? Although he
never
said
been
it.
a friend.
He said it on air that I support it, and then of course, does something totally contradictory. So in New Jersey, JC, I think they shut down. They made the gun stores not essential businesses, correct?
Yeah, they made them not essential for New Jersey. Let me look at my list here. I do have a list of these things. So yeah, New Jersey, it's not essential. The one they're the one actually that red line. They're the only ones that said absolutely not, no manufacturer, nothing. So New Jersey clamped down on all of it.
Hey,
so,
JC.
But that governor is a true anti-gun. He may speak out of one side of his mouth saying for the Second Amendment and does everything to limit your ownership or availability. That's just what he is.
Right.
You can watch him on the video, and he's
It's crazy. What were you? Good.
Well, you know, this whole question about whether it's essential or not. I wonder if you could talk from your experience behind the counter. My observation is that the media perception that, you know, all of the gun buying is, you know, us shooters and collectors going in to get another gun. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people who have never owned a firearm,
right,
who are saying, I better have this. You know, this is an emergency. I need to be able to do this. I wonder what your experience is.
You're
here.
exactly right. The last 10 days, what we saw, 75% of the people that came in were first-time gun buyers. So from one side of the fence, and it's not just myself, it's some of our other friends in the industry have said, you know, it makes you a little bit nervous because we want to teach these people to use them in a safe, effective manner, and you can only do so much at the counter. So, but it's good to see that these people, that they, in the time of need, that they're recognizing that, you know what, maybe I need to take the responsibility myself. And we've had an influx of people asking for classes. So we're hoping that when this all dies down, we're going to be able to train these people the right way. And but you're exactly right. It is people who have said, you know what, we're kind of seeing the writing on the wall. We're not paranoid, but we just want to be prepared. And so that's exactly what we saw. And that's, you know, if that brings them to our side and they've seen what we've talked about for a long time, then that's not a bad thing. So, well, we're going to jump into the bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we're going to get quickly to My Gun.
Are we back up? Yep. We're having a lot of technical difficulties with Facebook today. I'm not sure what's going on, you guys. So, yeah.
Just blame Zuckerberg.
Blame Zuckerberg? Okay, yeah, he might have the coronavirus. That might be it. And CHL permits and renewals, I guess Buckeye Farms.
Yeah, they're letting those. They're giving a leeway in that.
Yeah.
So.
Matt, I hope that answers your question. They're putting a little bit of leeway on the expired ones and renewals. And the Attorney General has already left, so I wasn't able to ask him for you, but that's the information that we got. We know the video keeps cutting out, guys. We're trying to do the best we can. According to Emily, it's Mark Zuckerberg's fault. Everybody send Mark an email.
Don't say that. You're going to get me kicked off Facebook.
That's Emily with an E?
That's 610 WTVN.
You guys have 20 seconds.
20 seconds, all right.
Jessica, I hope
Free on your phone, smart speakers, smart TVs, and more. Coronavirus podcasts, updated daily to give you the latest information. Playlists to help you stay focused while you work from home. And stations like 24/7 Comedy when you need to laugh. Here when you need it. And always free. Download the iHeartRadio app now.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios. JC, my good friend, is on location, or no, he's actually self-quarantined from an undisclosed location. My good friend, Big Ed, sits to my right.
Howdy, howdy.
My father, there's no one in the store, yet he cannot get it together to be sitting here when we come back. I don't get it.
He's always running off for coffee.
Well, I have
looking for Jet, one or the other.
I have a clear view to the coffee pot. I have a clear view to the restroom. Nothing. So
we're going to have to kick him off the show and then take me off of probation.
That's true. You are still on probation, Ed.
Only for one more week.
It is just one more week? Okay. Well, guys, it's that time of the week where we talk about a Gun of the Week, and it is my turn for Gun of the Week, and this is one that, honestly, we were hoping to be able to put a lot out there. I think we made 10 of these here at the store. I'm into, I like the what they call the PDW, personal defense weapons. A lot of times they're referred to these AR pistols that have arm braces. They're short. They're kind of neat looking, very compact, very versatile, easy to get around. And I was looking for one with some specifications and came upon one that was made by Troy Defense. So they're known for their rails and accessories and also their ARs. This particular one was a very short, I think it's a 7.5-inch barrel AR pistol they had, but the downfall to it was it had a very short buffer tube, but no stock at all. So it was, in essence, you couldn't shoulder it, and everyone knows, firing this from the hip is not the practical thing to do. So they actually stopped making them, and we were able to obtain several of them before that. We recognized that there was a product out there by Maxim Defense that a arm brace to put on this successfully, and Maxim also has a muzzle brake or a flash hider that is just phenomenal. So we outfitted them with that, and what we have here, if you're watching on Facebook, if it's PDW, actually one of our employees came up with that. I can't take credit for that, but it is extremely small. It's what I've been carrying for the last week. I mean, when you really are looking to defend yourself, extremely small. Easy to get in and out of the car with it. It comes with the flip-up sights. It is just really a neat, small, compact AR. It is, unfortunately, we only were able to do 10 of them, and they all sold. So, sorry, Ed.
You didn't even tell me about it.
Yeah, it's been in my office for like a couple weeks.
But every time I look at a gun that's in your office, don't touch it, don't touch it, it's not yours.
Well, that is true. But I will say, though, that probably half of them went to LE Buddies, including one that just walked out here.
I might have traded one of mine in.
Yeah, so I can always see what I can do to find another one out there for you. But it's really neat. It doesn't have to be this manufacturer, but if you're in the market for something that's practical, these PDW style weapons are just phenomenal in their versatility. Now, one thing you do have to watch is, as you reduce the barrel length on 223 rounds, it reduces some of the effectiveness of it, the capabilities and so forth. But this one, for me, hit that sweet spot, and I just love it. You saw it, JC, correct?
Yeah, it is short, it is sweet, and I wish I had one, but the 10 were all gone. So, but yeah, it's a great piece.
Great. So that is the gun of the week. Next week, Ed has the gun of the week. Ed, you have 7 days to come up with something.
Okay.
We're going to jump to a quick break because when we come back, we are going to welcome Liberty Ammunition and Nick Norton from there and talk a little bit about his product and the waves that they are making. We are on target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Viral information.
To slow the spread of the coronavirus.
In order to win this war.
This is a war.
You have 1 minute.
We good, Em?
Yes, you have 40 seconds.
Okay, and what's temp?
73.
73.
Am I on? I'm on. Any Facebook fans, I hope you can hear me. No?
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. For today, scattered showers and thunderstorms, dry for most of the afternoon, very warm and humid, high of 74. Tonight, another round of showers and storms possible late in the night, low of 61. For Sunday, the rain's going to end early, then slowly clearing by the afternoon. It's going to be breezy, though, high of 65. Currently 73 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN. Papa, why aren't you moving? They're asking. Welcome back to On Target. Papa, he is back. There he is on Facebook if you were missing him. The chair was empty for the last segment. I apologize because people are paying for the show, and there's nothing there.
See, you don't give me enough credit, Eric. I do a lot of stuff here, and I take the opportunity when we have these breaks to try to keep people get coffee and keep people working and things like that.
All right, you're forgiven this time. So, guys, Hornady Critical Defense, Hornady Critical Duty, Speer Gold Dot, Federal HST, Winchester T-Series, Liberty Civil Defense. What? Is there a new game in town when it comes to defensive ammo? Well, if you listen to the show for any length of time, you know that we're not always, we're typically preaching carrying a defensive ammo in line with your local police department. In case you are involved in a scenario where you have to use your firearm, you can say that, hey, look, I'm carrying just what local law enforcement carries. But there is one manufacturer who is making strides, and it just might be worth considering now because some of the evidence that they're putting out there of the effectiveness of their round is phenomenal. And so we thought we'd go right to them and welcome Liberty Ammunition on today, and the head of marketing, Nick Norton. How are you doing, Nick?
Pretty good. How about you, Ed?
You know what? We cannot complain other than sitting in an empty store, which is just very strange for us, especially considering last week. So we've sold the Liberty line of ammunition, and it's actually really the only line that we sell outside of some of the other ones, the Hornadys, the Gold Dots, and so forth. And the reason being is because we continue to see a lot of people ask for it, and some of the results that we're seeing through what you're putting out and through other places is really kind of impressive. So we wanted to reach out to you and get a little bit about the history of the company and the theory behind the rounds and see a little bit more about it.
Okay, sounds good. The company was originally founded shortly after 9/11 in 2001, and developed that'd be 2002, the very beginning. And we've actually been under new ownership since 2018, the very end of it. But it was originally founded because ammunition just wasn't quite adequate, especially then. We were looking at it, and it was more about, like, if you look at all the FBI testing, it was who could poke a hole farther or to a specific length through a barrier. Like, in rifle rounds, you can create hydrostatic shock. That was generally the rule. They were a lot more lethal than just pistol rounds. Pistol rounds were just about poking a hole and waiting for the guy to bleed out. And that just wasn't doing it enough. Like, that wasn't good enough. So they set out to make better rounds. And, well, we've done it.
And you talk about the hydrostatic shock, and that is, for people who don't know, I mean, that is kind of the effectiveness of when the round, hits the target. It's not just, like you said, poking a hole in it and waiting, waiting for the person to react. But this is actually a physical, it's almost like what you see with a rifle round, a .223 round. It's actually something that regardless as to how much you try to fight through it, there's some physiological things that are going to go on that's going to prevent you from continuing your action.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We're water-based beings. When a bullet flies through, there's a temporary cavity, but the body has a certain elasticity, and it can handle so much of a cavity before it can't. And then it goes past the threshold of what the body can handle. As a general rule, for jacketed hollow points and full metal jackets, it's 2,200 feet per second. After that point, the cavity has stretched so far that the body can't handle it. And then the temporary cavity becomes permanent, and you start seeing organs bruised 5-6 inches away. Like, it's not just the size of the bullet anymore. You're getting this huge cavity inside because the body just can't handle all of that kinetic energy.
Right. So the way Liberty achieves this, though, is by reducing the size of the round, the grain weight, and then effectively increasing the velocity on it. So when you look at across your line of civil defense, for instance, the feet per second that you're seeing out of a handgun is just off the charts.
Yes. Well, it's actually a combine of multiple factors. Like I said, generally the rule is 2,200 feet per second. And currently we have 2 rounds that will go above that. But if you look at our 1,900 feet per second 45, it matches a .223 in temporary cavity. I sent you those pictures over earlier.
Right.
How we do it, the huge cavity and the projectile, when it hits fluid, it builds so much pressure until it literally explodes, until it can't handle it. That combined with the added velocity is how we're able to achieve it. It's not just that it's going so fast, because a lot of them aren't quite over the limit. But it's combining those 2 factors. We're going sometimes twice as fast, depending on the caliber. Plus, we have that cavity where it builds up pressure till it blows. That's how you're able to get humongous temporary cavities.
And that is, if you go out there, and what's your website there, Nick?
LibertyAmmo.com.
If you go out there, right on the front page is a test I think you did recently into gel blocks, and it's showing some of this ammunition out of a rifle carbine. So this 2K, the Tavor, some of a little bit longer barrels, and it is the video is fascinating versus the traditional rounds. I say the gold dots, the HSTs out of a similar barrel, or actually the same barrel and stuff. So you can see it visually in some of these gel boxes. It's undescribable, Ed, and we were watching it before the show.
It was phenomenal watching that video, comparing the 2 rounds compared to the Liberty round, was the intensity that bullet has.
Exactly.
So what is the actual bullet made out of? It doesn't look like lead.
Right. So
no, it's copper with nickel plating.
Okay.
It's a very good-looking bullet.
Oh, it is good-looking, Ed. It's good-looking.
Thanks.
As bullets go.
Yeah.
Ed, you sort of like
saying about the carbines. We average our bullets actually go much faster out of longer barrels. the way the powder burns. Like we tested the critical duty, and it was about the exact same out of a 16-inch barrel versus a 4-inch barrel. But our 9mm usually runs 20 to 20/50 out of a 4-inch barrel, but out of a 16-inch barrel, it averaged at 25/60.
Wow.
So we're getting much faster out of carbines as well. Our 45 ACP average it was around 22/50 out of a 16-inch barrel that we got from Chris Vector.
Wow, that's just incredible. So, in obviously in the gel blocks is an indication of what you might see in real life. Are you seeing, have you had any real world performance, things you can look at, or are you having departments that are using it that have actually seen some results in the field?
Yes. We have quite a few departments that are using it. We've also had quite a few coroners call and have us identified because it didn't look like any wound they'd ever seen before. Recently, we had a guy who was shot in the head with one of our 45 ACP rounds in the fence, and they had to have a closed casket because most of it wasn't there. Wow. It was pretty devastating. And it was actually a police shooting. I had the article right in front of me. It was earlier this year in Randolph County in Indiana. And a guy had an AK, and he was held up in his house. He was all armored up, vest, everything. And he was squared up against, they said, it says right here, over at 33 officers, about 200 times he shot at. And 13 cop cars were all shot to hell and destroyed. And they were having a hard time getting through the barriers with the rounds they were using. This is what we were told. And they switched over to our ammo, and it actually started penetrating through the wall he was hiding behind and apparently inflicting enough damage where the guy ran back inside the house, and they were able to push him back and eventually win the battle and actually save the cops. And now they're going to start stocking it up for their department and their SWAT team because they were starting to dabble in it, and they used it, and they saw how effective it was in an actual shootout. And now even their SWAT team is going to start using it. So,
Nick, that's one thing. And JC, you and I talked about this a little bit. One of the things you look at from a law enforcement and I guess a concealed carry holder concern is that how does that perform in barriers? And that's something that, you see frangible rounds and different rounds out there, and they look great in a gel block, but they don't hold up as well when you start to throw them through a barrier. But you guys are seeing something different in that. You're actually seeing it able to penetrate some of these barriers and still be effective.
Yes. Most fragmenting rounds or frangible rounds have incisions cut in them to help that when they hit fluid, they get pulled apart and they fragment. It looks all nice and pretty. Like you mentioned, the RIP rounds. They have gorgeous gel block. But the problem with having cut incisions that help it fragment, you do pretty poorly through barriers. They start smashing, it starts deforming, it doesn't fragment like how it should, and they don't perform near as well through any decent barriers. But our rounds don't have any pre-cut incisions. There's just a huge cavity in it. That cavity, like I said, hitting earlier, when it hits fluid, the pressure builds until it literally blows up. That's how we get the starburst fragmentation. It's from the pressure buildup, not that the bullet falls apart. Our bullet's one solid piece of copper with nickel plating, so it'll go through barriers just fine. Like you can shoot it through an interior wall, or Military Arms made a video a couple years back with a 3A plate and put clay behind it, and the guy stuck half his hand through the hole. Wow. Like behind the 3A plate with a 9 from a 4-inch barrel. Now it's not armor piercing; it'll get caught in the very last piece of material on the vest out of any of our calibers. So it's not considered armor piercing rounds, but it'll go through the plates, make a huge explosion behind it. We do through interior walls, car doors, auto glass. So the only thing I seen give it trouble was hurricane glass, and that thing, a guy tested it through like 2-inch thick glass, and it was ridiculous. I don't think any round could do good through that.
Wow. So, but through auto glass and stuff, you're seeing decent results as well?
Yes.
Wow.
We did a police shoot in Indiana not long ago for the same department, showing them how well it did, and we shot it through auto glass, and it shot just fine. They were very impressed to the point where now they're using it and carrying it.
Wow. JC, you've been quiet there. I know we've talked about this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's do notice that they carry the civil defense rounds, and they have some hunting rounds, but they also have the light loads. One of the things that for defensive purposes, and let's just, kind of bring it back to the listeners out there. I mean, what you want to do is exactly what he said. We're a big bag of water, like 60% water, and if it goes in, what you want to do is stop the person. You don't have a right to kill them, but you need to stop them as quickly as you can. And overpressure of nerves and vessels is a great way of doing it, and that's the purpose of these rounds. So we don't want to be, it's not the gruesome how much damage can I do. You want to stop the person. And these rounds will do that. In our testing that we did, just of the 380, it was the only round that we tested, the penetration wasn't there, but honestly, for home defense, you don't want over-penetration. You don't want it to go through your drywall and hit somebody in the next room. I mean, you want to stop the person. So I just wanted to get his opinion on the light loads versus the civil defense loads because, one of the things that we had discovered is that, believe it or not, a 223 with a 55-grain hollow point, it will destroy itself. It actually penetrated less drywall than the standard rounds from 380 all the way up. I was amazed, but it just destroyed itself. So for home defense inside the home, I just wanted his opinion on the lighter loads versus the penetration. I understand the police officers have to shoot through glass, have to shoot through walls, things that as homeowners we may not have to do. So I didn't know if they were recommending the light loads, which are, when I say light loads, it's a lighter bullet. They still go out. I mean, even in the 380, it goes out 1,500 feet per second out of a 380. I find that just amazing. And that's what we tested, Eric. We tested that in our FBI gel block. So just wanted to get his opinion as far as for home defense, which is kind of the COVID-19 area that we're in right now, what his thoughts were on that, the light loading versus the civil defense.
Okay. So our civil defense rounds, all of our rounds are much lighter except our 223. We wanted to keep the BC around the same. It's standard 55 grain 223, so you can go shoot it as far as you want, and 700 yards, it'll still be accurate. The thing with our rounds, like our civil defense rounds, have the same projectile as the new ultralight round we just came out with. What we did with the new ultralight was we made the case half the weight. Shell Shock Technologies came out with a case that's twice as strong but half the weight. And
so
we
not
added
the load
that
or
with our
the
50
bullet.
grain projectile going at 2,000 feet per second, and now the total cartridge weight is only 93 grains.
Okay.
Our rounds, we wanted to design, as far as barriers, like you're saying, and getting that penetration, but all of our rounds will go through barriers fine. But when they hit a person, when they hit soft tissue or fluid, that pressure builds until it blows up, and then you're seeing less over penetration. Like all of our rounds, all of our handgun rounds average, depending on the caliber, as a whole, it's 11 to 14 are on gel penetration. The 14 being usually the 357 SIG, it's a little deeper, and occasionally we'll see a 10 out of the 380. But generally it's 11 to 13 inches on most of the calibers. Even out of carbines, you're still seeing the same penetration depth, just the fragments are spread farther, and the temporary cavity is larger.
Wow.
It dumps more energy in it.
Well, Nick,
we wanted to make sure that it would dump in the target, but without over-penetration. So as long as you're your target, you don't have to worry about it going through the walls and hitting anybody behind it.
Right. Well, Nick,
that's what we wanted to make sure of.
Unfortunately, we're hitting up against the end. Thank you so much for jumping on with us, and we're going to have more information on our website. Definitely check out their website. We carry it here in our stores, so stop by and see us. This week, we're going to get to opening back up in limited hours, so watch for our Facebook. Sign up for our emails. We're going to do an email blast this week. Stay safe. If we can do something to help, just yell. We have a lot of resources here. And once again, thanks to Nick, and thanks to the Attorney General, Dave Yost, who joined us earlier in the show. We'll be back next week, and have a good time out there self-quarantine. Thanks.
See you.
You there, Big M?
Yep, 1 second.
Yep.
All right, ready whenever you are.
All right, hold on 1 second here.